Please, can you turn your cell phones off or put them on vibrate so it doesn't disturb us while we're conducting business? I need a motion to adopt agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Publication, Mr., you're up, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Scripture for today is from the book of Matthew. So don't be anxious about tomorrow. God will take care of your tomorrow too. Live one day at a time. Thursday, speaking of tomorrow, day after tomorrow is Veterans Day. For many, many years, it was Armistice Day. Some of you old timers might remember that. I don't know, I do. And this was to honor the soldiers in World War I that had fought. And later it was changed to Veterans Day to honor veterans of all the branches that had been in the military. Armistice Day is known in Canada, United Kingdom, I believe Australia as Deliverance Day, but it's celebrated basically the same thing. And Armistice Day, came about to end World War I. For some reason they met before, and the leaders of Germany and the Allies agreed that on the 11th month, the 11th day, the 11th hour, they would call a truce. I don't know why they didn't say, immediately like that, but they went on for a while there. And they were to announce the end of it by firing a barrage of artillery similar to the climax of our 4th of July fireworks bit at the 11th hour. And that's when all firing stopped. Probably the most unlucky guy that's ever lived was this poor British soldier who was killed 1 minute before the deadline came. And World War I was unique in many ways. One thing, it was probably the last war, I guess, that they used mules and horses more than they did motor vehicles. It was the first war to use the airplanes, and we've all seen pictures of the old double-winged planes. And here's the kicker, it was a war to end all wars, and we know how that turned out. There's been many of them since. Adolf Hitler was a corporal in World War I, fighting for Germany. And he was wounded in one of the battles. He was gassed. They did a lot of poison gas then. And the reason that he was wounded, his gas mask didn't fit him. So, because he had a handlebar mustache, and he wouldn't get the seal there. So after Hitler had been gassed, he shaved off his handlebar mustache, and that's when he got the little comb one that we're so familiar with seeing in the pictures. He was a little late in doing it though. And he actually was captured by a British soldier. And this British soldier said that he debated whether to take him prisoner or shoot him. And one can't help but wonder how history would have looked had, he shot him. It certainly would have been different, probably been a lot better. I'd like to read a little article here that came across called "What is a Veteran?" And it was written by Marine Corps chaplain Father Dennis Edward O'Brien of the United States military. It said, some veterans bear visible signs of their service: a missing limb, a jagged scar, a certain look in the eye. Others may carry the evidence inside them: a pin holding a bone together, a piece of shrapnel in the leg, or perhaps another sort of inner steel the ally forged in the refinery of adversity. Except in parades, however, the men and women who have kept us all safe wear no badge of emblem. You can't tell a veteran just by looking. What is a vet? He's a police officer on the beat who spent 6 months in Saudi Arabia sweating 2 gallons a day, making sure their armored personnel carriers didn't run out of fuel. He is a barroom loudmouth, dumber than 5 wooden planks, whose overgrown frat boy behavior is outweighed 100 times in the cosmetic scale by 4 hours of exquisite bravery near the 38th parallel. She, or he, is a nurse who fought against futility and went to sleep sobbing every night for 2 solid years in Da Nang. He is a POW who went away one person and came back another, or didn't come back at all. He is a drill instructor who has never seen combat, but has saved countless lives by turning slouchy, no-account rednecks and gang members into Marines and teaching them to watch each other's back. He is a parade-riding legionnaire who pins on his ribbons and medals with a prosthetic hand. He is the career quartermaster who watched the ribbons and medals pass him by. He is the anonymous hero of the tomb of the unknown, whose presence must forever preserve the memory of all the anonymous heroes whose valor dies unrecognized with them on the battlefield or in the ocean's sunless deep. He's the old guy bagging groceries at the supermarket, now aggravatingly slow, who helped liberate a Nazi death camp and who wishes all day long that his wife was still alive to hold him when his nightmares come. He is an ordinary and yet extraordinary human being, a person who offered some of life's most vital years in the service of his country, and who sacrificed his ambitions so others would not have to sacrifice theirs. He is a soldier and a savior and a sword against the darkness, and he is nothing more than the finest, greatest testimony on behalf of the finest nations ever known. So remember, each time you see someone who has served their country, just lean over and say thank you. That's all most people need, and in most cases it means more than any medals that could have been awarded or were awarded. 2 little words that mean a lot. Thank you. Will you bow your heads, please? Lord, we thank you for all who have served our country, for our EMT, our military, our law enforcement, our firefighters. We ask for wisdom for Joe, our president, Roy, our governor, Barry, our mayor, for our town council. And we ask, Lord, to continue to bless the United States of America and Beach Mountain. Amen.
Thank you, Cyclone.
Thank you, Cyclone.
Thank you. All right, we got 3 people on public comments. Oh, sorry, Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now for public comments, you have 5 minutes. Urs, you're up first.
Urs Steiger, 124 Raven Road. I'm going to do something today that Wilson King often does, and that's remember one of our own who's passed away recently. And that's Mr. Bob Carpenter. Bob passed away after a lengthy illness on October 29th, 2021. Bob was a part-time and full-time resident of Beach Mountain for probably 40 years. He started out as a part-timer when he was working for Duke Energy. Later they moved up here and they were full-time residents for about 20 years. Bob was a ski instructor over at the resort, longtime member of the club, and when Charlie Burleson passed away, Bob became the broker in charge at his real estate office. Bob's wife Jane is still survives him. They are now no longer living on the mountain, unfortunately. They moved to Cornelius once he became ill. They had 2 daughters. He had was very involved with Hebron Ministries up here, did a lot of work for the town and the resort. And I think he's somebody that will be greatly missed by everyone. His memorial service was on November the 6th down in Huntersville. So I hope we just all remember Bob Carpenter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have A Cleaner Mountain Starts With You, Talia Freeman.
Hi, hope everyone's doing okay. My name is Talia Freeman. I'm Director of Marketing at Beach Mountain Ski Resort. I live over on Wintergreen Way, so I'm a proud member of this community and very grateful for the few minutes I can keep this to today. I wanted to talk to you about an initiative that we started about 3 years ago at the ski resort. You know, for me, from the marketing side, I'm always paying attention to consumer trends, what our customers are paying attention to, what provides our customers value. And I started noticing people are really care about a sustainable culture. They care about recycling. They care that you care about the environment. That gives them value. And in turn, you know, we get more customers. Obviously, my brain's always thinking that. Coincidentally, around that time, we hired Leanne Cogdell, who is our office manager. She's a graduate of the Sustainable Development Program at Appalachian State, and she kind of spearheaded this sustainability program that we started. You know, the main thing that we've kind of noticed is, you know, we're not perfect by any means. We actually do a lot of stuff really bad when it comes to the environment, but, you know, what we're trying to do is just make some small steps forward. Tiny steps that hopefully someday can lead to a big impact. So our platform that we're rolling out this winter, we'd hoped to roll it out with COVID, pre-COVID, but with the madness of COVID, we kind of put a halt on the press release for this. It was kind of crazy if you guys remember, but I think now's the perfect time to do it. So our initiative this winter is called A Cleaner Mountain Starts With You. We're promoting this initiative with not only our staff, but also our season pass holders and our community members. You know, through our sustainability initiative, we're looking to provide an outdoor experience for our customers, provide access to nature, education to nature, the natural resources here, and really just kind of show people that we do care about the environment and try, like I said, to kind of make some small steps forward. So I want to talk to you about a few things that we have done, just so you're aware. And then I want to talk to you about our initiative for this year and how you can help. So over the last few years, we've installed all new LED lighting. If you're not aware, LED lights are 80% more efficient than traditional lights. So when I say LED lighting, I'm talking about our slope lights. We just finished our last slope on the front side of the mountain this summer, Southern Star, so we're excited about that. We donate all of our spent grain to Trossley Farm, which is a local farm down in Pass Elk Park, so they use that for their animals. We donate all of our vegetable oil to a local business that converts that to oil that they can use in heating systems. I'm sure, Jimmy, you've seen that before. We use biodegradable plant-based cups at the resort. We put recycling containers all around the resort. Now, we all know recycling is a huge monster, so that's going to be kind of a constant battle, but we're trying. We recently purchased refillable water bottle stations all around the resort, and we purchased stainless steel tumblers for all 400 of our employees so that we can encourage them to eliminate single-use plastics. We have a program with our staff already where we reward them for doing any kind of good deeds. I mean, it's just a small gesture, but you'd be surprised as an employer what an impact it makes. We give them these little hooker chips. They're worth $2. Widener, I don't think, has ever gotten one of these, but maybe this year. But we just ordered some green ones with our sustainability logo, so now we're trying to just, you know, if we see someone making just any kind of small change towards being a little more eco-friendly, this is just a good way to recognize that with our staff. This spring, we have a plan to build, or hopefully, we're trying to figure out native plants that we can make a pollinator garden right up above lift 3 and 4 so that our patrons can see it as they're going up the chairlift. We installed all new signs on the chairlift bars that educate our customers on the native animals of Beach Mountain. So as you're going up the chairlift and you see, you know, a bear or a falcon, I mean, you can get a little bit of information about that and maybe what not to do in those interactions there. We've overhauled our snowmaking system over the last 3 years, which has really helped conserving energy, and we've expanded our reservoir added in a new pump system. So trying to kind of educate our customers that we're not using potable water, that we're recycling our own water system, and that we do care about that. The initiative that I want your help with this winter, and I didn't print a lot, but obviously if you want to take one of these with you or pass these around, this kind of just talks about our sustainability initiative. This is our Do One Thing initiative. So I'm not coming here today to talk about how I'm some champion of the environment. I'm not. I am just one person that had someone else inspire me that really thinks this can make a big impact on our mountain. So there's a little QR code on here. What Do One Thing is it's just a pledge. So this winter, in your winter routine, pick one small act that can, personal practice that kind of combines your daily winter routine with a sustainable effort. So that can be eliminating single-use plastics. It can be carpooling. It could be volunteering for a sustainable effort. It could be composting. I mean, it could just be as simple as like meatless Mondays. I mean, it can be very, very small. Mine was I'm not going to use any single-use plastic silverware. I mean, that's all it is. And that's all I'm going to focus on, because I know that if I can do that for 3 months, maybe I can do it a little bit longer. Right now we have 21 pledges. We haven't gotten our whole staff to do it, but my hope is to get 2,000 pledges. And I'd like to push this with businesses, our season pass holders, our staff, and also community members. So I'm going to leave this here. You can read about this on our website. And if you have any questions, I'm here to help. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now I'm just going to set these like right here on that chair, if that's okay.
We'll put this on the town website.
Awesome. And I'll email it to you as well.
Thank you.
Nick Wilson?
Good afternoon, Nick Wilson. I live at 513 Charter Hills Road. Bought the house in 1995, so just love the mountain and all we do. So I have just really two questions that I have for you. The first of which is, we have a Buckeye Recreation Center. Do we have an advisory committee for that Buckeye Center that is active and trying to assist the Buckeye Recreation Center to increase its revenue and be a self-paying part of the community? So that's question number one. Number two is, I wonder why we have 3 people at the recycle center. Every once in a while, we have one person there, and it seems to work just fine. I understand that if somebody comes to the recycle part of the dump, that somebody goes down there to assist them with that. But when I arrived there, and there are 3 people at the recycle center, I think it might be a little bit much in the number of personnel that are there. And the final thing I would say in the recycle center, whoever designed the little shed up there has the door that goes in. These poor guys that are out there going to freeze this winter probably should have the door open from the outside, or come from the outside, to give them more room in there too. So there are my questions and a statement about the door there too. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen? Elaine? Elaine?
Hi, I'm Elaine Lutzire, 128 Overbrook Trail. I have a question. My husband and I run Beach Mountain Consulting and Handyman Service, and we are selling the bear-proof bins that have been approved by the town. We have all of our bins that will be available by December 31st have already been spoken for, and now I'm getting phone calls from desperate people wondering what to do, and I'm wondering if they order a bin and make a down payment by the 31st of December, is that going to be considered abiding by what the town has declared, or are they up the creek without a paddle, is basically my question. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the town manager will look into it.
Got it. Making notes.
Harley Olson.
Oh, our business of the, I thought maybe you had some more. Our featured local business mayor is Elevate Your Style at 1103 Beach Mountain Parkway. And Marley's here to, I'd like to introduce her and have her tell you a little bit about her business. And as you know, Mayor, this is a program that the council does every month to celebrate and acknowledge a local business in the town of Beach Mountain. So Marley, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I want to first thank Mr. Pudney and Town Council for having us here today and letting us introduce ourselves to you. I am Marley, and this is Olivia, and we are stylists at Elevate Your Style Hair Salon. We are a year-round salon located next to Poppy's Coffee Shop, just past the entrance to the ski resort. I opened the salon in 2015, and with so much of your support, it has grown beyond anything I could have imagined. In early 2020, I was able to bring in Olivia to help me, and despite the hardships of the past year and a half, we wouldn't be here today without all of you, so thank you. We are currently running by appointment only, so to see our services, prices, set up appointments, and contact us, please go to our website at stylebeachmountain.com. We love working up here and being a part of this great town and hope to be here for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I need a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion.
If I could we talk about the sewer and the water system projects?
You have a question?
I do, and I think it's important we discuss a little bit about it, only because it's such a hefty project of $6 million, just about. I think the audience and the viewers should know a little bit more about what we're spending the $6 million
Okay.
on the sewer and the water. And Chief, my first question is on the sewer versus the water. Some streets are listed, and I was just wondering, is that because some streets don't need new water connections?
These are two separate projects that go hand in hand.
Yes.
So on a street that has a sewer and a water main that is identified to be replaced, it will be like we did on Tamarack. We'll tear up the road
Yep.
and we'll put in new water and sewer. There are some sewer lines that have recently, we just went through a project where we cameraed and smoke tested sewer lines. Clubhouse Road is a good example, where the water line does not need replacing, but the sewer may need repairs or replacing. So the sewer project will be on some different roads than the water. But this is a geographic area of the town, and it's the next project. We're closing out the one in Tamarack and Overbrook. This will be the next project of almost $6 million, about 28,000 feet of pipe, and we'll begin doing that. Actually, it's begun. The engineering is begun. We've got approval for the SRF loan. So that's the reason you'll see some streets have water, some streets have sewer, and some have both.
And do you anticipate we'll start by 2023 on both projects?
Yes, we have to, actually. The requirement of the state and the loan is that we meet those milestones that are in your packet. We're on track, and we'll continue to meet those milestones so that we begin that project on time and get it finished on time.
Yes, sir. And then also on the itemized side, where it says 2% loan admin fee, is that money we're borrowing, or is that money we have to put forward to receive the loan from the state?
Neither. Well, I guess we are borrowing. That's included in the loan, the SRF loan, which is at 1.1%. So there's an administrative fee that the SRF charges us on administering the loan in the contract, and that's the 2%. It's included.
Okay, gotcha. And I believe, the projects we're doing the roads on, are they recently paved roads? Or
No.
So
No,
we
as-
forecasted ahead before
Yes.
paving the road?
As you've directed us and as we've continued with the project we're finishing now, we will, if it's a gravel road that's getting the water, then we'll review that for paving, and that'll be in your budget as we move forward in the next couple of years.
After we fix everything?
Yep.
Cool.
If it's a paved road, and I'll use Tamarack as an example, it was previously paved, again, if we're digging it up, we'll patch it and then resurface it in its entirety.
And what's the anticipation of both projects completed?
18 months to 24 months after we begin construction.
Yes, sir. Those are my only questions. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I want to go back to one of the statements that Chief Pudney made. You know, the interest rate of 1.13%. That's, even though we're paying back the $6 million, it's kind of free money that we're able to utilize. And then also, you know, I asked Chief Pudney today about failure to meet any milestone may result in the forfeiture of the funding. And then it's got a list here of the milestones, and then the project has to be complete by 2023, correct, Chief?
The construction contract has to be issued by March 1st of 23.
I'm sorry, I said that
And
backwards.
then depending on the bid documents, which will identify the contractor has to then tell us what the term of the contract will be, and if it's acceptable by the state and by the town. So that'll set that 18-month to 24-month construction schedule.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we go to new business, surplus property, private sale.
Mayor, I need to sell some fly tying feathers and related personal property. This one item on the agenda has garnered more calls to my office than trash this week. And that says a lot. We have some property that we purchased some years ago on an estate sale that was, I guess, some special fly fishing equipment and fly tying equipment. And we stored that at Buckeye, and it has not been used. The gentleman that has an interest in this has gone and inspected it and wishes to purchase it back. It was actually from his personal property sale. I researched the records. The town paid $600 for it. He's agreed to that price, and this is my legal obligation to the town to sell it for what we paid for it many years ago. I will tell you this, that it smells. And when I called the Parks and Rec director, he said, please give it away. Every time they open the box, it has some unique animal fur that they use to tie the flies, and it smells. So that's the backstory on this. The town attorney has put the resolution together. We would like to sell it for what we paid for it and get it out of Buckeye.
Is there any objection to it?
I don't know why we bought it in the first place.
Yeah, I don't.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion first, second?
So moved.
Second.
And a second, okay. Otherwise, town road, tell me. I need a town manager's staff report.
Mayor, before I go into my report, I'd like to briefly go to page 34 of the packet. It's the monthly financials. The Recreation Department, as you can see, is well above benchmark of 25%. They're at 62.62%. You've corrected that with the budget adjustment that you just approved. But I did want to explain to you that the parking lot that was funded entirely by the TDA was funded through Parks and Rec, so it was a transfer. The ropes course, which was funded entirely by donations, was also run through the Parks and Rec department, so that's been corrected. And then the sledding hill improvements, where almost all of those were funded by the TDA, that also was run through the Parks and Rec. So those three major projects account for that 62%. And with your approval of the budget adjustment tonight, your next financial report will bring that back in line.
Chief, that's the $520-something thousand on the budget.
I'd have to look.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah. It was in the beginning. I don't want to say yes to a number I don't really.
Pretty close.
Because it was broken down in 2 line items.
We did. Well, we've got
That's why I
different.
was wondering.
We have revenues and expenditures in a budget adjustment. $529,914. Okay, so that corrected the predominantly the Parks and Rec overage, and I just wanted to point that out before the public sees the financials and says, what are you doing at the Parks and Rec Department? So, Mayor, my report, COVID-19 update, there's been no changes in regulations either at the county or state level. Our cases, thankfully, continue to slowly go down in both counties, Watauga and Avery. We continue to monitor. It's not gone, but it seems to be being managed better. And as you know, booster vaccines are available now, widely available. On solid waste, a number of things to report. The dumpster program that went into effect October 1st, we're at 99% having that completed. We've got one property that we're still dealing with, and so that's been a success in the last 30 days. We see a reduction already in our October report on solid waste. If you get a chance, look at the spreadsheet on solid waste from Public Works, and we think that is the trend as we remove the commercial solid waste from our stream that we're paying for. The other thing that it points out is what we suspected but couldn't measure is that the residential customer was offsetting the commercial cost on solid waste. And it wasn't because of the commercial or multifamily were doing anything wrong. Our fee schedule was such that the tonnage estimated for the commercial accounts was off. So if you look at your spreadsheet for the month of October, we had, I think, about 89 tons of solid waste as opposed to 156 tons the same month last year. So we won't know if that's a valid trend until we see another 3 to 6 months, but that's how we account for that number dropping down.
And also, Chief, I mean, I saw that, and my numbers are correct, that's a little bit more than $4,000 that the town saved.
That's in tipping fees.
Correct.
We'd
That doesn't
save
include
much more than that because the cost to haul it.
Correct.
In machinery, fuel, mileage, and personnel, it far exceeds the tipping fee. But
And you could probably add 30% to that $4,000, give or take, so I'd say it's well over a $5,000 a month
it
savings.
was a substantial savings so far. Trash bins for short-term rentals, that's underway. We actually have very good compliance. A lot of questions, a lot of people calling, a lot of issues, a lot of confusion about non-rentals, whether they have to have a bin by the 31st of December, which they do not. But short-term rentals, getting the bear-resistant bins in by the 31st, we're making great progress. And hope to see the results of that as we go into the spring, where we see our tonnage on our twice-a-week pickup increase, and we're better able to manage the reduction in tonnage at the recycling center. The old recycling center, we've got all but one of the Republic dumpsters out. We've picked up all but one of the open-top dumpsters. Republic is going to recycle those for us. We'll take the building down after we move the old compactor, and we'll clean the site and make it look a whole lot better than it does now. So people have asked, what are we doing there? We'll get it cleaned up. We'll have the site cleaned before winter sets in, and then springtime we'll come back to you at budget and see what your desires will be for that. I did want to remind all of our commercial dumpster users, predominantly the multifamily, that the town does offer the recycling pass. It's a $60 annual pass, so that if you're serviced with dumpsters, if you continue to want to recycle, and we encourage that, that's the cost that we've estimated that a residential customer pays annually. So, and we're selling those green passes for recycling. And if you're a residential customer, it's already included in your monthly sanitation fee. Let's move on to roadways. Our striping and reflectors, obviously we're late on that. The contractor has again been less than cooperative. So the The contractor who's putting the reflectors in will have the reflectors in. We were waiting to paint the stripes before we put the reflectors down, obviously. And we may not be able to get the stripes in before the weather turns. We can't put the paint down unless it's 45 degrees and rising. So I authorized, let's get the reflectors in Raleigh that helped us out. So they'll be here in the morning, weather dependent, and should be good. And they'll be striping the parkway. Our gravel roads are being graded. We've got the grader out every day. We're waiting to finish the water and sewer project in that area and then grade those roads. They are not very smooth. And the smooth roads, the smooth gravel roads where the sand has come to the top, we want to get those turned over before they freeze so that they don't become slick. And Public Works has got a schedule and they're working on that. So let's move to traffic. Last month's council meeting, you directed staff to conduct a speed and traffic study on Woodland Road. We did that. I sent you the results for whatever you want to use that data for. We've also begun moving that process around as we receive speeding complaints from other roads. We're using the same scenario, if you will. We're doing a 10 to 14 day study, gather some data as opposed to just perception, and then I'll send you the data as I did, and the council then is aware of what's going on. In addition, beginning the day after the council meeting in October, we stepped up our traffic patrols. The chief and I met and we decided we would start aggressively patrolling and doing what he calls stationary patrols, where he parks a car and he does radar and things like that. So we've done 47 stationary radar patrols in the last 30 days, issued 10 warnings, 2 state citations, and we're moving as I said, the speed radar sign around every 10 to 14 days, weather permitting. As we move into the winter, the signs don't do well in the cold. The battery pack that we have and replacement packs doesn't do well in the cold, so we may pull that back a little bit, but we are aggressively, as you directed us to do, going out and doing some analysis on speeding. Let's move to the sledding hill improvements. The fencing and the pads have been installed. We're still waiting for additional padding that was ordered. It's not here. The water and electric has been installed, and the pumps and water tank is about 90% completed. But I want to make sure that, I know you know, but the public knows, we're going to make snow on the sledding hill not from drinkable potable water. It's coming from well water. We're putting it in a tank, and then we're pumping it out of the tank into the snow guns. So the concern that we were going to use expensive potable drinking water to make snow on our sledding hill is incorrect. And that whole system has been configured and is up to be tested. And again, most of that was paid for by the TDA. The bathroom at Sledding Hill, as I reported to you last month, we were behind, obviously. We had to change contractors. I fired the contractor that we had for the job, hired another one, and today we poured the concrete slab. The roof trusses are there, and the contractor's going to start framing the building and moving forward. So we won't have windows. Windows seem to be a long-term order, so we'll have plywood, but we're going to get the building dried in and get the facilities working for the bulk of the sledding season. The parking lot is completed and active. We just hydro-seeded it, trying to get some grass to grow before it freezes. And we're meeting Friday with the president of the parking vendor to just finalize. Everyone's been trained. We've actually had some use, and we haven't issued a citation yet. So we sent Steve Smith over there and parked his car to see if he'd get a ticket, and they figured it out and didn't give him a ticket. Let's see. There's going to be a new program that we're going to run through the utility on the sewer system. It's a public awareness campaign to improve the awareness of fats, oils, and grease, we call it FOG, in the public sewer system and how that harms the entire system. The state is requiring us to do a public outreach. We'll put something on the website or design a website for that. We'll do some direct mail, And what we're trying to do is reduce the fats, oils, and grease that go into our sewer system, because what it's doing is it's causing us problems downstream. It's also affecting our sewer system, and ultimately it affects what we discharge into the environment. So we're going to start a public education campaign on, Daniel calls it FOG. I said fats, oils, and greases in the sewer system. On the EMS station, good progress. The housing for the crew has been purchased and is being staged. The foundation is being constructed behind fire station number 2. I spoke to the county, Watauga County, today. They are working through their public hearings. They have to change their franchise, and they have to advertise and vote on an agreement with Avery County. Both are on track, and we expect to have a unit close to the 1st of January at Fire Station 2. And that's, again, a 24-hour paramedic advanced life support transport unit on Beach Mountain. Let's see, Lake Coffee Reservoir, more good news. As you know, Mayor and Council, this is the Lake Coffee Reservoir, a joint project with the resort to combine Santis and Coffee into a 30 million gallon water reservoir for use by the town to have potable water. We've done preliminary engineering, and it became time now to see if we had a viable project with all the state and federal regulators. We have to build a dam. So obviously there's tremendous amount of regulation that goes with building a dam. We have to change how the reservoir is designed, being off creek. So we met last Thursday at Public Works. We had a full day meeting, provided lunch for all the regulators and the people who would permit this project, along with our design engineers. And then we went down to the site and actually walked Lake Coffee, Lake Santis, and everybody got a good feel of the site. The good news is that to a person, from all the regulatory agencies, from Army Corps of Engineers to the dam permitting people to the fish and wildlife people, they were excited about this project. They really believe this is a good solution for the town. They certainly gave us, I asked, and so did Daniel Davis, is this a doable project, and do they see any roadblocks? It's doable, it's permittable, and we went through the process of what this permitting process looks like, and it takes about a year to 16 months to permit this project. We can do other things as we're waiting to permit it, but the good news is that it's doable, and we had a very good response from all the regulatory agencies. So our finance director, Steve Smith, and I, we've been working to figure out how we're going to pay for it, and made some preliminary contact with USDA. Also, Steve Smith has reached out to some local lending institutions. We don't have a finite budget yet. You know, we've been throwing $10 million around. That was the estimate from the engineer. But we're going to start putting that together, and you should see something along those lines as we move forward. Plenty of time to figure out what you want to do, how you want to pay for it. More importantly, we'll plug it into the model and see what it does to the rates, as we did the Watauga intake. So we'll have that information for you as we go forward, so that you'll be able to make some good decisions on what you want to do and how you want to go about it. So we have engaged West Consultants through an RFQ to be the primary engineer, and we've engaged a specialist firm that designs dams, and they are on board now. What you will see pretty soon is we're going to have to draw down Lake Coffee so that we can get some boreholes into Lake Coffee to see what's down there. Obviously, rock is an issue, and we want to be able to design it. We need to know what that is. So throughout the next couple of weeks, you'll see a drawdown at Lake Coffee. It's not leaking, and we're not running out of water. We're doing that on purpose so that we can get some samples of what's down there. So that process is going to take a number of years. Our target, as I told you last month, was to be able to draw water out of the new reservoir in the spring of 2025. And we believe that that's still doable. And as we move forward, I'll keep you updated on where we're going and what we're doing. I told you last month that we had applied for a FEMA grant of $14 million. It's a 70-30 split. So we would get about $10 million out of that grant. Our 30% can be in kind, which means the money we're spending now and the time and effort that we're putting together now can be charged against that grant. Quite frankly, I don't want to say this in public. We're competing with a lot of people across the country. So we'll hope we've been moved up to the next level. So hopefully it'll be productive for us. But we're going to investigate every avenue to see how we can fund this reservoir. Ryan Costin, the owner of the resort, attended the meeting and was with me all day, both at the luncheon and down at the site. We had great conversation. He has given us permission to do whatever needs to be done to facilitate examining the land, both his land and what we own. And we're still working with the attorneys. They seem to be the bottleneck here. In getting that long-term agreement between the town and the resort. But I know from my perspective and Ryan Costin's perspective, there's not a problem. This is a win-win for both entities. Certainly will help alleviate the town's drinkable water problem. And the resort has an equal need in the wintertime to make snow and have a recycling system for their water. So we'll work through those details. I see nothing on the horizon that will cause us any concern, and as those obstacles pop up, I'll bring those to you. Salt storage, we're coming into to winter, and we have been unable to get our 1,000 tons of salt. If you recall, back in the summertime, there was a hurricane and a tropical storm that went up into the Houston area. They're still suffering from the after effects of that. But one thing we didn't realize was it took out the salt storage that they had that we were purchasing it from. So we had to wait for that to be resupplied. They have to actually bring it down a barge on the Mississippi. Then it has to be trucked. And I'm told that our order has been acknowledged, and we'll be able to start receiving some salt in the near future. Not sure what that means. So bottom line is our salt storage building is empty, but we have 400 tons in the old storage left over from last year. And if we look at last year's usage, that'll get us to the first of the year, if everything goes good with the weather. So I don't think it's a hiccup just yet, but it's making me a little nervous that we haven't been able to get any salt delivered, and we started on this back in July, I believe.
Does DOT owe us anything?
No, we got repaid by DOT, but the fact that our road is being striped in the morning means we probably don't have a good relationship to get some salt from DOT.
Are we paying for the paint again, or are they?
No, they're paying for it all.
That's good.
Yeah. And last thing I've got, Mayor and Council, is, Thursday is Veterans Day. The town hall will be closed, the convenience center will be open, and we just appreciate everyone who's ever served this country as a veteran. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Town council comments, Mr.
I had a question on the bathroom at the Sledding. You said the contractor was fired.
Yes.
Does he have any other projects in the town that he is behind on, or
Yes.
is he fired from those, or is that?
Yes.
I just remember hearing about a sign.
Yeah, well, the sign, the good news, the sign at Buckeye Creek Road and Buckeye Road, as you know, we had problems not where it was put with DOT.
Yeah.
John Merritt has secured in hand a permit from Avery County to put the sign in place. He's negotiated with the property owner that has been very gracious to the town, and that sign has already been built. We'll have it installed shortly with another contractor.
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
You want to make any comments?
Thank you for everyone who came out today. And next Thursday, there's a fundraiser at the brick oven, so come out and support that. And proceeds will go to the fire department and police department. And again, thank you for coming out tonight.
Free pizza.
He's not joking this time. Usually he says that.
Ms. Gagne?
I just had a couple comments. When you go through the month-to-month differences and changes that we see. Sean Royal in the rec department, his team has done an amazing job as we've gone through Halloween. They had over 200 people. And I know our other councilwoman was very actively involved with that. So there was a big turnout. So they're really getting the numbers up with the membership and offering all kinds of programs. Also, if you look at the fire department's numbers of medical calls, compared to last year, they're 3 times more. So you can definitely see the difference in the growth in our town. It's made a big difference. Our police department, their assistance and what they're doing has doubled from the same month this time last year, between business checks, service calls, and assisting in medical calls. Again, our tourism, our TDA, this time we have 300 plus more visitors this year than we did last year. So we're growing, and it's right in front of us, which is requiring everyone to step up and put in more work. I'm extremely thankful that the Parkway is getting striped tomorrow, because our fog's already setting in, the weather's already changing, and we need that to be as safe as possible, especially when you add fog, cold weather, and evening. With our visitors and our residents coming in, whether you're working coming up the mountain and the time change, we need it to be as safe as we possibly can. That's all I have.
Ms. Mullane?
I did want to thank the community on Halloween, because it was all volunteers, and Beach Mountain really came together and put together a fine event down at Buckeye Rec, and the 200 people, it's a good number for us. There is on our website that PowerPoint about trash for questions that I've been receiving, and the PowerPoint is excellent from Chief about why we're doing what we're doing. So if you have any other questions, it's on the website. Take a look at that PowerPoint and see the reasoning behind the months and months and months that we've been talking trash. I want to congratulate my 3 members on your re-elections. Welcome back again. And then I want to say thank you to all Beach Mountain veterans for your service. And that's it for me.
Mr. Abernathy?
A couple comments. As we have aggressively focused on our infrastructure, I'd like to take and I've mentioned this in a couple of our budget meetings, taking a look at transportation for our visitors and our residents. I don't know, I haven't started trying to connect the dots on how we can do this, but starting it out on a small scale by offering just local transportation that, a small bus. I'm going to use Christian Tours out of Newton as an example. They were here for Ozfest. It's like a 30-passenger bus, but have this privatized so it's not any expense to the town. So if it doesn't work, which I hope it would be successful, but if it doesn't work, we're able to clip that program. And I think that it would be, since TDA is the driving force of bringing folks here on Beach Mountain, let them be responsible for funding a good portion of this project, if not all of it. But experiment with a bus or some type of transportation that picks up our guests at various places on the mountain. Some of the main roads, and folks would be able to walk to and have, like a bus stop, and take them to the local restaurants that we have here on the mountain, take them to the ski resort, take them to the coffee shop, take them to wherever they want to go. But take them down to Buckeye. That may increase our revenues with taking guests down there. A lot of folks that probably come up here aren't aware of it. So, maybe we could point some folks down there and increase our revenues there. So at some point, I would like to evaluate if we would be able to, or explore if we could have some type of transportation here on Beach Mountain. And secondly, I just wanted to give a shout out to the gentleman that does our landscaping here on Beach Mountain, Matt Stokes. I saw him working today, and I had to stop and look because something didn't look right. I've never seen a backpack that had 2 blowers on it. Well, he was wearing 2 backpacks. And he was working very hard. He works hard for our community, and hats off to Mile High Landscaping.
Okay,
Mayor?
thank you. I just, I was down at the Halloween party, and it was a great turnout. A lot of young children, which was great to see. The only thing that concerned me is when I went through the haunted house, all I kept hearing is politician coming through.
And the guillotine.
So I was crawling on the mat because I figured there was something going to be coming across. And so then I tried to get the chief to, Bob to come through, and he says, no, only you went, that's good enough for me. So, but I really appreciate it. It was great night. This gives you the opportunity for the citizens to make a comment on what they've heard as far as the agenda is concerned. Does anybody want to make any comments? Go ahead.
The state is coming up to do the yellow lines and the white lines, I take it, Bob. And we have drivers that ignore those things, and the lines get blurred. Is there any way we can improve the ability of drivers to stay in the lanes?
We have the police department and public works tomorrow going to assist, and we'll be putting cones and putting police cars behind the sprayer. That's what we're going to do.
Let's see if it works.
Anybody have any other comments?
I left something out that I want to touch base after.
No, go ahead.
I want to go back to what Nick was saying earlier about the 3 folks that were working at the recycling center. And I saw this today, and I mentioned it to Chief, and it went into another conversation about educating our public on recycling. And he made a good point that what he's doing is that not that there's an extra person that's on the payroll, but if there's something that there is some downtime for whatever, if they're working on a project or whatever the case is, that there is some downtime, that he is sending them down to the recycling center to make sure that they are recycling properly. And, and I think that's great that they're doing that, because when that trash or the recyclables are taken to the landfill, and if it's contaminated, that's, an additional tipping fee that the town pays for product that should have been recycled. There is a cost associated with it. But I think we need to make a push to educate the folks that are recycling, because there's a stigma that I'm throwing this container into the recycling bin, but since it's got a cap on it, or whatever it may be, it doesn't get recycled.
Right.
So I think we need to make a push to try to educate our citizens and visitors on how to properly handle this task.
Mayor, could I speak to that?
Go ahead.
At the trash town hall meeting, we had 2 citizens stand up and ask to be recognized and for me to contact them. They wish to be involved in exactly that. And so we put those 2 together along with some people in Public Works, and they have formed a group that they are going to submit recommendations on how we can improve the recycling portion of the center with public education, better signage, better access to the recycling containers. So we're following through on that. They've had 1 or 2 meetings and have come up with some good ideas, as well as they now understand some of the challenges that they didn't possibly understand before. But that group, and I think there's another resident who's interested in joining that. That group is going to bring those recommendations back to us, and we'll make those changes. so that we can not only improve the recycling, because it's better for our town, as Talia pointed out, but we can make it more efficient, and we're not taking whole loads of recycled materials, have it contaminated, have it refused, and then paying the tipping fee to dump it in the landfill. It's really, self-defeating. So I apologize for not telling the council and updating you on that. It didn't make the list, but we are making progress there. And as soon as I have some solid recommendations that we can bring to you, you'll see those changes.
All right, thank you. I do agree that I think the initiative that the resort is putting together as far as trying to do away with a lot of the plastics and the cups that we get thrown around. I would like to see them, maybe work with the businesses in the town to maybe cut down on the fact of using plastic forks, knives, and some of the plastic dishes that they use. And even straws, there's a lot of places using plastic straws. So I'd like to see that maybe somewhere down the line we can incorporate not only what the resort is doing, but get all the businesses on board and slowly make the change. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of an effort, but I've heard about this before. I've had people ask me in the past, why don't we use paper straws rather than plastic? And I didn't really have a logical answer, but now that we're looking at this and trying to put a program together, I think it would be great if everybody in the community would work together. So by putting it on the website, I think is great, but I think we have to make more of awareness to the businesses and get them on board. I think that's the important part.
Why don't we?
Maybe I can task this group, if they have a success with us and they obviously have a passion for recycling, get with Talia and maybe we can start a grassroots group that'll dig in and come back with some good recommendations.
Right.
Let's start next Thursday night by having chopsticks at the pizza fundraiser and see how well that takes off.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, it's free pizza. He isn't giving you plates.
No plates,
He's
just
not giving you
napkins.
the forks. Go ahead, Tanya.
And just to clarify, we are not eliminating all single-use plastics. I mean, as Jimmy can attest
Sooner or
to,
later.
even supply chain right now is just a nightmare. So, I mean, our intent is really just to try to make some really small incremental changes and mostly just to encourage our staff and community members to not think about it as this massive project, but really just one tiny little change. But I hope we can get there someday when we're trying. So I wanted to clarify that before someone shows up and uses a plastic fork and I get roasted on Facebook or the Facebook group,
Oh,
the answer.
Tanya, you know that group too?
Oh, we all know
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I'm well liked on that. Yeah.
But, no, I'm just saying somewhere through the future. It doesn't.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, just to get people thinking about it, and
Right.
we would gladly help our staff with.
Correct. Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everybody.